All right, everybody, good morning. Thank you for being here for our news update. So we'll start off as per usual with our crime stats, and homicides continue to trend down. These are the numbers as of September 1st, so it does not include the homicide from yesterday that we made an arrest on, which was the triple shooting out in Valley Station where we had a 17-year-old that was killed and a homicide made an arrest of an 18-year-old. Non-fatal shootings are down 31% also. It seems like that's kind of random, but 31%, 31%, 31%. Pretty consistent across the board. So very proud of those numbers. But really the source of those numbers come down to a lot of what you see here. And we haven't shown much of these numbers. But this is the proactivity and the activity that the officers participate in. And hopefully soon, I think Deputy Chief McKinley, one of these upcoming weeks, will be able to give you a little bit better numbers for you to understand the trends over the next couple of years, or over the past few years, of just how much improvement we've made compared to the previous 5 or 6 years, maybe 6, 7 years. And we'll get to that though. But one of the things I want to point out when you look at these numbers is, yes, our calls for service has gone down, but everything that officers are doing in total has gone up. So that, in combination with the community's input and the community's just lack of tolerance for the spike in crime that we'd had over the past 5 years, has led to those improvements in those numbers that you've seen when it comes to our violent crime numbers and even our property crime numbers being down. So very proud of the work that the officers of LMPD are doing and the cooperation that we have with the community ongoing, and that is something that we need to continue to build on. So thank you to everyone for that work. This isn't a problem that we solve alone. Yes, I'm proud that we're getting out here, but when you look at the difference between self-initiated runs, arrest and bench warrants that are served, so understand what arrest warrants are. Those are issued by the court. Either somebody's committed a crime and somebody's sworn that warrant out, or they've already had something adjudicated and they've failed to show back up for court or for sentencing. So that's officers going out there and locking those people up. Self-initiated could be any combination of things. So it's not where an officer is actually dispatched. So a dispatched run would be where a citizen calls the police and it's dispatched, the officer goes to a location. Self-initiated, it's going to be some kind of activity that the officer chooses to take on. So that might be a traffic stop, it might be a pedestrian stop, it might just be a business check where officers stop by a business and have interaction with the people there. And so we're very proud. And if you look at some of our numbers from our sustained focus improvement areas that come out of our crime plan, that is a lot of what we're trying to get, is officers out there being seen, being interactive. The community clearly has asked for that, and so that is what we're trying to provide, and I think we're seeing the success pay off. As Sergeant Sanders talked about, I want to go through a video really quickly. So we had an incident this past week where a 9-month-old was left inside of a vehicle around the area of Brook and Broadway, and someone hopped in that vehicle and stole the vehicle. They did end up dropping the child off, but officers were able to catch up to that suspect after the child was safe. And so I want to show you the video from the helicopter of that takedown of that suspect.
South on 27.
Coming up on 27.
No, he turned south. He's coming up on Ollie at 27.
Coming up on Ollie at 27.
Just keep eyes on it. Hopefully those grapplers aren't too far out. What's their ETA? Guys, he's stopped right here. Just take it. Once that be stopped, yes, take it.
Confirming location is 27.
Air 30. Felony stop. High risk stop. 27 in Ollie. Driver's out.
Driver's out.
Black male, dreads, blue t-shirt, black shorts, black shoes. Contact with officers.
All right, we got one detained. The car's clear. You can't come.
1 to 10, cars clear. Cancel in tone 1651.
So great work right there by officers. And if you didn't understand some of the traffic that was going on the radio, not only they used flocks, so some of our technology to help locate this vehicle. They're coordinating with the air unit. You had SWAT units that were en route with the grappler. If you're not familiar with that, that's a disabling device that the SWAT team uses to prevent pursuits. And then, obviously, you can have plans in place, but the suspect stopped right there, so the officers made a decision to go ahead and take him into custody right there, and everything worked out. So very happy that worked out. Great work by those officers coordinating all those resources. And I think one of the lessons we talk about all the time, don't leave your keys in your car, don't leave your car running. I think it goes without saying, don't leave your child in your car. It's bad enough to leave your car running or your keys in your car, but to leave your child in the car is not something that's safe to do. And so we would ask that people pay attention to stuff like that. One of the things I want to highlight here is some of the recruit training. We take a lot of the stuff that we do for granted just because it's normal to us. And it was pointed out that most people don't know about one of these aspects of our recruit training academy. And so they go through a couple of days of what we call practicals. And these are mock runs that they're dispatched on. So they're teamed up with an actual training officer. They're dispatched on scenarios, and they go and they act out these scenarios. This is towards the end of their training academy period. Well, subsequent to that, what our legal department does is they go through mock court with them. So they take the product that was produced from those training scenarios, and we have lawyers that act as defense attorneys, prosecuting attorneys, and judges, and they go actually down to the courthouse and they act out, or they go through a mock trial and a mock hearing on the cases that they just picked up during those practical exercises. So it's a really, really good training tool for us, something that is really valuable, and wanted to bring that to the attention of the public. These are the things that we're doing to try to make sure that our recruits come out here with the tools and the skills to serve the public very well. And then lastly, we have some big events coming up, and so I was told that I was supposed to talk about this in a very entertaining way, so I'll read it to you so that you understand how fun this is. Big couple of weeks ahead. Bourbon and Beyond kicks off at the fairgrounds next Thursday, then Louder Than Life the following week. These two festivals draw about 400,000 people, so there's a chance for us to showcase our city, cool people like Ringo Starr and Cypress Hill. This is one of the best times in Louisville. Everyone knows about it, from the Queen of England to the Hounds of Hell, and we'll have about 6-7 safety reminders for you, just so that everybody is up to speed on everything going on. So have fun and be safe. LMPD will be out there. Come a little closer and say hello. We love meeting our community and visitors. We even got to meet Santana. I don't know what that is about. Santa. We got to meet Santa, apparently. So, yeah, the font is small. You got to be able to read, because apparently that's a Cage the Elephant reference. So the festival is laid out differently this year, so hold on and look at the maps before you go. It's an Alabama Shakes reference. It's only funny if I tell you that it's a joke. Keep an eye on your belongings, because nobody wants your beautiful things to be taken, whoever Benson Boone is. It's a song about him, I guess. And then I can tend to get hot in September, so stay hydrated. As cold as ice. There's an old band that's playing there, Foreigner. I think it was in their time period. And on the way in and out, there will be traffic all around you, so please be patient. It's Sturgill Simpson. I think that's a country group. And if you're going to drink, you can dial drunk, but don't drink and drive. And get a ride home, grab a ride share, or call your mom. That's Noah Kane double play. Noah Khan. Goes to show you how well I know these acts. The point is, have fun. It should be a good time. go out there. Apparently you're supposed to have Riz when you go out there and all that type of stuff. So no cap on that statement. So with that, we will turn it over to you for questions. And you're looking about as painful as I was reading that. So
I'm still getting over the old people foreigner comment.
so apparent and true statement here, you can't discriminate. Age of discrimination only kicks in over 40. And I'm over 40, so if I'm making fun of you, then we're making fun of me, apparently.
Okay.
So, but I'll let you have the first question since
All right.
I offended your.
Back to the homicides. Our numbers continue to go down.
Yes, sir.
The percentage of drop is impressive. Multiple other cities around the country are experiencing similar drops. It's a national trend that these numbers are going down.
Stop. So I want to correct you right there. So it's a national trend everywhere else. Here in Louisville, it's 100% because of our community and the work that LMPD is doing in our crime plan.
So none of the drop in numbers that we see here is a result of a national trend. It's all because of what the work that you're putting in. Is that what you're saying?
100%.
Okay.
So I'm being a little facetious there. Obviously, there was a spike in violent crime across the country post 2020, and I think every community, every major city struggled with that simultaneously. And I think part of what happened is there was a lag in all of these communities trying to catch up to new trends in crime and the way that crime was needed to be dealt with in this day and age. I think there was a sense that maybe police didn't have control, or that things were going to be allowed that shouldn't be. And I think there was a legitimate fear from officers to be proactive. And I think you saw that in a lot of our proactivity, and I think you've seen that in other cities. And so it's taken a lot of work in all of these cities, including here, to build those bridges with the community, convince the community that we are trustworthy, that we are doing our jobs the right way, and also convince officers that they'll be supported when they go out here and do police work. So, and I apologize if I cut your question off, so I will let you finish.
That's fine. And are we back? We're not back to pre-pandemic levels yet, are we?
We're very close. And we can give you some of those pre-pandemic numbers. I don't know if you have them off the top of your head, but we are very close to a lot of the pre-pandemic levels that we were at.
So I guess my question is, what will it take to get us back to sustained pre-pandemic numbers, and perhaps even further back beyond the triple-digit homicide numbers sustained?
No, 100%. So the question is, what's it going to take to get us back and sustain in those pre-pandemic levels? And I think what you've seen over the course of the last year or so is exactly what we need to continue doing. It's a combination of work in the community to build trust, build relationships, encourage people to cooperate and communicate with us, as well as that proactive police work. So when you see those numbers going up in that proactive police work, like I said, that's not just enforcement work, but we need officers who are willing to go out here and do that enforcement work, but we also need officers that are willing to just go out here and be visible and make contacts and do the work that we need them to do. And so I think it's a combination of both of those things, of keeping that effort sustained, keeping your foot on the gas. There is no finish line for us. I think in a lot of businesses, a lot of organizations, you have a season, you have a budget cycle, you have a goal at the end of the year. That's not really the way it works for us. There is no end. We can have an improvement today, and we need to keep our foot on the gas for tomorrow. And so that's our plan here, and continue to look for innovative ways to improve what we're doing.
The music festival, you guys are not the primary security, is that correct? Just support?
Correct. So the question was about security out at Bourbon and Beyond and Louder Than Life. So that is on state property, and the promoter contracts with private security for inside the venue. We handle traffic externally, and then we provide some specialty resources that you can't just hire out for, so to increase the security.
So your officers will be on the grounds?
There will not be LMPD officers that are on duty for LMPD inside the grounds, except for some of our specialty units that will be providing some extra layers of support.
And back to the homicide, any new progress on the 10th and Chestnut case?
the question was any new progress on the 10th and Chestnut case. There's nothing new that we are able to disclose right now at this time. So.
Speaking of pre-pandemic levels, does it seem, or do you know if the youth violence that we're seeing now is more spiked than pre-pandemic levels? And can you speak specifically to the triple shooting in Valley Station where, a juvenile was shot and killed?
Okay, so the question was the pre-pandemic spike or the post-pandemic spike in crime, and particularly related to juvenile crime. And so what you saw was a delayed spike in juvenile crime. And our crime as far as juveniles is going down. It is not going down at the same pace as overall violent crime. So while we might be down 30% or so in general non-fatal shootings, we are going down in those juvenile numbers, but not at that same pace. So we're sticking a little bit closer to those numbers. And then what was the other?
Yesterday's Valley Station shooting where the teen was shot and killed.
Right. So what we know is that a group of people arrived at the location out in Valley Station, and some sort of conflict took place that we're still trying to sort out what was over. There was an exchange of gunfire, and it seems like people on both sides of this shootout got shot. And we've been able to identify, we think, everybody involved. And subsequently, we were able to make an arrest of a subject that was shot during that gunfight and charge him with the homicide of the 17-year-old victim. And that was an adult that was charged with that homicide.
Are there any updates to the shooting and car crash that happened last Thursday on I-65 near Grade Lane?
Right. So the question about updates to the shooting at 65 in Great Lane, and I don't have any definitive updates for you right now.
Is there an update with the DUI crash that happened a couple of days ago? Any updated condition of the mother and her infant?
No, the question about the DUI fatal accident, where we made an arrest and charged that person with the DUI accident. As of right now, the mother and the other child are still in the hospital, as last to my knowledge, and we will continue with the prosecution of that subject when it's appropriate.
Speaking of that case, we know that the kids weren't in seatbelts and car seats and things like that. Is there a statement that you'd like to put out on that angle of safety?
So the question was about the kids not being in seatbelts or appropriately seated or secured in the vehicle. This is why it's a law, right? We want to make sure that everybody is kept safe, but let's not detract from the fact that there was somebody who chose to drink, chose to get behind the wheel of a car, and ultimately killed this girl and just destroyed this family. And ultimately, the fault lies with that person who, we have all of these options to be able to get home safely, but he made the choice to get behind the wheel of a car and drive and kill someone, and he's going to face justice for that.
Can you speak to why no charges were brought against the parents in the Brennan Conley case when a baby was in the backseat of the car that he stole?
Why no charges were brought against whom?
Parents.
Oh, so the question was the mother who left the child in the car. So we're letting division detectives handle that, and they will consult everything with the Commonwealth if there are any other charging decisions that come out of that. I would hope, and I think one of you interviewed that mother, but I would expect that mother definitely learned her lesson that day, and we'll let the consultation between the detectives and the Commonwealth determine if there's anything else that's done there.
And one more thing for me, if you're able to address, because a few of our outlets have been tagged in this post of this woman claiming that we're not doing our jobs and y'all aren't doing your jobs when it comes to, I guess, 10 people rescued from a sex trafficking ring at a West Louisville home. Do you know anything about that or can address that?
Right. So apparently there was a post that went a bit viral yesterday about missing persons involved in some kind of sex trafficking. And we've followed up with our missing persons unit because obviously that got to us as well. And there seems to be no validity to that statement. I don't know where that woman got that information from, but we have nothing to that validates that that's the case.
We've all done lots of stories over the years of downtown safety, and there's this notion that downtown isn't necessarily safe. In light of recent events, would you say downtown is safe?
What recent events are you referring to? Because we really haven't had too many high-profile things that happen in the
Yes.
central business district.
Different, I'm trying to think, 'cause this wasn't my question. Different, you know, it wasn't me. Different, I believe, like a couple of carjackings and things like that, that type of stuff.
So there was a carjacking yesterday that occurred downtown, and we were able to immediately locate that person, and pursuit ensued, and officers were able to take him into custody. It's outstanding work. I can't tell you that with 100% certainty that anywhere is perfect, but I can tell you that we don't. Downtown, the central business district, and the entertainment areas is a very safe area to go. And we have this notion that I think is not, it doesn't match what is actually going on the street, that we have a lot of people that are afraid to go downtown, and that's just not the case. I think people think that you go downtown and you're going to get robbed or you're going to get shot. No, that is not the case. We have hundreds of thousands of people who come downtown on a daily basis, and I think people need to visit downtown and experience downtown for themselves as opposed to relying on social media for their information. It's just not the case.
Chief, there's a story in the national news about a child who was fatally shot during a so-called ding-dong ditch incident in another state. What is the message from police to kids who do this and the people that they're being targeted, the homeowners?
Right, and so the question was about, I believe that case happened in Texas where, and I think, I'm not 100% familiar with this particular ding-dong ditch case where a homeowner ultimately shot a young person. I can't remember their age either. But I think there were also some more factors to that. This wasn't, we've all played ding-dong ditch at some point, right? We knock on a door and we run, or we ring a doorbell and we run. That's stupid kids being stupid kids. I expect that to continue. One, as a homeowner, you can't shoot somebody for knocking on your door or ringing your doorbell. That's absolutely crazy. But two, I think we've also had a trend of kids who are kicking in doors and running. And I think that might have been the case down there. And put yourself on the receiving end of having your door kicked in and how you would respond. You would assume that someone is there to hurt you or break into your house. And so if I could get messages out to kids, one, we probably wouldn't be in, you wouldn't have much need for us in the first place because, but I don't think, that's just stupid. Don't kick a door in. Like that's not a game. You've crossed a line. We all do. We all play pranks. There are certain lines that you can't cross when you start to damage people's property, when you start to break into people's homes, and there can be instant consequences for that are tragic. And so that type of stupid stuff just needs to stop.
What's your message to the homeowners in instances like that?
Well, I mean, I'm not sure how a homeowner is supposed to discern in fractions of a second whether this is a kid playing a prank who's kicking my door in or someone who is intent on doing harm. So everybody has to weigh what they know right there at that moment and make a decision to keep themselves safe. And it's an unfortunate, circumstance when that type of stuff happens, but don't kick doors in and you don't have to worry about that.
The IG released that report, and according to it, LMPD prioritizes violent crimes, leaving many property and financial crimes low on the list. What is your message to people who are maybe the victim of those misdemeanors?
So the question was about the OIG's report related to our detective caseload. And like I said in the statement, I don't disagree. I mean, I think we've all acknowledged over the years that we have a workload problem due to a lack of personnel. We need more people, but one, we will never use that as an excuse. We are constantly trying to find ways to improve our operations and provide better service to people. And so if I were to rely on, we're short manpower and just blow that off, that would be inappropriate. And so some of the things that we're doing is we've just recently hired some civilians, investigators to come back as detectives within some of these detective units to try to pilot that, to work on a lot of those misdemeanor cases and work on some of those property crime cases that unfortunately don't always get prioritized. But I don't want people to think that their situation is not important. Yes, we have to prioritize violent crime, but we take seriously, any property crime, any theft. So we are taking steps to alleviate some of that. We're working on our recruiting. We are hiring civilian detectives. We're also trying to look at the way that we're managing caseload to make sure that we can prioritize some of those cases that are solvable, and we can bring some closure and some justice to some of those victims.
Are there any other of the recommendations that the OIG recommended you immediately implement, such as allowing patrol officers to follow up on investigations, formalizing a mentoring program, upgrading software for case management? Are there any? Can you speak to anything so far that?
Yeah, so there's a lot of things that were recommended. As far as we've never stopped officers from following up on their own cases. So I think that might have been a little bit of a misunderstanding. As far as overtime being allowed for detectives, we don't limit overtime, so don't really understand where that came from either. Detectives can work overtime just like every other officer can. But we have updated, and we continue to work on updating our case management software. This is something that, from a technology standpoint, I think they were on the phone yesterday talking with Mark 43, who is our records management system provider, on how we can streamline a lot of those issues. I know that has been one of our frustrations with that particular software, but it is something that we have, over the last 4 or 5 years. This isn't a new problem. This is something that we have been working on as far as the case management software.
You mentioned flock cameras when you were showing us the video of you all arresting the man who took that car. The city budgeted more money toward flock cameras this year. I think we're supposed to get about 140-ish. Do you think that having more of that resource will help LMPD be able to solve more of those crimes a little bit faster?
So the question was, increasing our flock camera coverage, will it help us solve crimes a little bit faster? And I think you've seen several examples over the last few months where we've been able to utilize that type of technology to locate and apprehend criminals or vehicles that have been involved in crime. So 100%. That's why we are continuing to expand our investment in that type of technology. And when you look at the overlaying of technology, so there you not only had flock cameras, but you had some equipment that was going to be utilized by SWAT. You had the air unit. So we're also we should have our helicopter up and running here soon. Our second helicopter, that is. You've been familiarized with the Drone as a First Responder program that's going to be run out of EMA. We're also working on utilizing our own drones on patrol and getting that program more functional. So I think when you talk about the layering of technology in conjunction with the personnel and what they're doing, I think it all tends towards our ability to solve a lot of those crimes faster. And it all comes back to, can we provide a service to the public that is going to keep them safe and bring closure when they are the victims of crimes. So, all right. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you all. Have a good day.